Welcome into Onorato and Bagnardi. It's Chris Onorato, Sean Bagnardi. It's the start of a new weekly segment here on the News Channel 13 Facebook and Twitter pages, and that is our rapid reaction presented by Professional Fire Restoration. Bags, how we doing, buddy? The 1 o'clock games are done in week 3 of the NFL season.
I'm doing pretty good, man. Got to see almost all of that Giants game, and I feel like I've seen that Giants game before. Don't you? I mean, this team, it's just heartbreak all the time with them. This is already shaping up to be a classic Giants season for me, when they're going to look back several weeks into the season or at the end of the season and say, yeah, we really could have had that one. We should have had that one. If we just had that one and that one, where would we be right now? And that's got to be frustrating as a fan.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, 0-3 now before we really dive into it. The fact is that they are 0-3. It was the only matchup of the week of two 0-2 teams, and Atlanta goes to MetLife. They win on a field goal as time expires. And I think, look, the referendum is going to be on Daniel Jones' career here in year 3 for him. And let's get into it here because we'll react to what the Bills did as well. An absolute pounding of the Washington football team. I could not have been more wrong on what I thought might happen in Orchard Park today between the Washington football team and the Buffalo Bills. But this is our first edition of Rapid Reaction presented by Professional Fire Restoration. Let's get it going here. You're watching Onorato and Bagnardi.
This Onorato and Bagnardi Rapid Reaction is presented by Professional Fire Restoration.
All right, Bags, here we go. Giants fall to 0-3 as time expires. The Falcons win 17-14. You and I both in our picks this week said Giants will cover the 3.5. Obviously, they didn't do that, and they failed to win the game overall. I look at the performance, 14 points against an Atlanta team, and I think just not good enough from this offense. And Daniel Jones is going to fall on the quarterback. Whether we want to, argue about how good the offensive line is or isn't, how good the weapons are or aren't, it's going to fall on the quarterback here in Daniel Jones in year 3. And I know plenty of Giants fans who are like, you know what? Jones isn't our future. Let's figure it out beyond him. And so no matter how bad the season goes, at least maybe we're in a position to get a better quarterback. But the fact is the Giants are 0-3 here. This is not going to go well for them, even in a division, right, where we both agree that you don't need probably many more than 10 wins to win the thing.
Yeah. So as I watch this game, at times I think Daniel Jones looks really good. He looks competent under center. He makes good throws. We know what he can do with his legs. And yet here we are at the end of this game, 14 points against a team that had averaged 40 points allowed in the first 2 games of the season. So, yes, you look at this one and you circle the offense as being the problem, but I think you really got to take a look. Now, obviously, they had the 2 big wide receiver injuries, right, with Slayton and Shepard in the game. That doesn't help you, but it didn't seem like that was the reason why they weren't good enough. But neither did Daniel Jones to me. It's hard for me to really put my finger on it with this team. That it looks like they can put drives together, and then, we saw it a couple times, especially early in the game, where it's like you get into the red zone and you don't come away with a touchdown. It's about finishing, and it's not enough. Now, Daniel Jones' stats, 24 for 35, 266. No touchdowns, no interceptions. So, it's like those are okay numbers, but you're going to look at that and say it's just not enough. But I got to look at my guy Saquon Barkley here, and I'm starting to feel like his best weapon for them, or their best usage of him, is almost just throwing the ball to him now more than it is handing it off. Yeah. And that shouldn't be the case. And that doesn't seem right to me. I don't know if it's a problem with how they're using him, or if maybe it just comes down to the line where they're just not good enough run blocking for him. And that's where all the problems with this offense start. But it's hard for me to really put my finger on why you can only go out and score 14 points at home against a team that allowed an awful lot of points in its first 2 games.
Are you writing the Giants off in the NFC East?
Look, I didn't predict them to win this division, as you know. I'm still not predicting them to win the division. I prefer to look at writing them off as, are they still in playoff contention? And when you have 17 games, 0-3, maybe you survive it if you can find a way back. You got to hope that the teams competing for those lower playoff spots just don't quite have the records to stack up where you can find enough games to crawl back into that race and just be in contention in the final few weeks. I'm not quite writing them out of that yet. But because, look, these are games you look back and say, I mean, this team should be 2-1. I know they're not. They're 0-3. Yep. So that's the way it is. And maybe that'll continue to be the problem. But they're close. They're close at times. I mean, they should have beat Washington, right?
Generally, 0-2 did not portend good things for teams in the NFL to reach the postseason. No. Now you're telling me 0-3, and maybe, and I get a lot of this is about the division, not necessarily maybe the team that is 0-3, but I just don't see how you start a year 0-3 and all of a sudden you end up in the playoffs. I just don't see it. You and I both think Dallas is talented enough to do big things this year, and I would still lean on that. That's the Monday night game, Cowboys at the Eagles. At this point, and we'll get to what Washington did today too, because they severely underperformed. I just don't see how, as the Giants, you're 0-3 and you lose to a Falcons team, which I think finishes last in the NFC South, and you still get to the postseason. I just don't see how it's happening. And I think there are a lot of Giants fans out there, Bags, who will say, you know what, we're better off this way because success means Gettleman stays. Success means Daniel Jones is still the guy at quarterback next year or really beyond year 4. And so, look, we're all sports fans. We know how this works. I think there are a lot of Giants fans out there who are like, you know what, this would be better off. Not that we want to go 1-16, but 4-13 will put us in position to truly find the next general manager and the next quarterback of our future.
Yeah, but it's so hard to say that already when I can just so easily look back and say, if you don't jump off sides on a field goal, you've got to win on the road against a division opponent. And then this game, you're up by a touchdown. I mean, you allow the Falcons, and Matt Ryan's still a good quarterback, and he can still lead a team on a really good drive. And that's what we saw in the fourth quarter, this big time-consuming drive to get the game tied up. And, of course, the Giants had a near interception. Again, you look back on one play, that changes everything, and it's obviously not dropped. They capitalize on it, go in. Then the Giants really do nothing with the football, give it right back to them. And at that point, I'm thinking, well, Atlanta's going to win. Ryan just took them down the field. He's going to do it again. They've got the momentum. I said to Elisa when they started that drive, they're going to win this game with a field goal here pretty much as time expires. And of course, it's what happened. It's frustrating. As a Jets fan, it's frustrating to watch the Giants go through what I feel like the Jets go through so many times, where it's like you put yourself in a position, you're just 1 or 2 plays away. And I guess maybe that is ultimately the difference, right, of what separates the really good teams in this league from the ones who just aren't, from the average teams or the below average teams. But when you're at home and you're playing a team that's 0-2 like this, you've got to find a way to close the door in that game. And again, we're talking about the Giants just not finishing a game in the fourth quarter, despite an okay game. I mean, there's not like one glaring thing you point to and say Daniel Jones was just bad, right? Or the defense just got lit up. No, this was a competitive football game at home against a winnable opponent, and you don't get the win.
These were 2 teams. That's why it was competitive. That's why the numbers don't look terribly bad. There weren't a ton of turnovers because these are just 2 very average teams. When you say to Elisa, Giants are going to drive the ball down the field and win this game, she says what?
No, I said the Falcons. I said the Falcons. Yeah, they're going to go and win this game with a field goal. She said nothing, really. And then, of course, it happened.
Right.
And, it's like it's not surprising. And that's what's frustrating about it for me, just watching it from the Giants' perspective. I mean, I want the Giants to be good. I want them to be better. It's more fun in the capital region when we have our football teams playing well and in playoff contention, especially if the Jets aren't going to be. Might as well have another team in there. And I like Saquon Barkley, and I'm rooting for a guy like Daniel Jones. So this is all pushing that narrative, like you say, of, we got to move on. We got to change it. And I don't necessarily believe in that. But then I see this week after week, and it's hard for me to sit here and argue it that, no, what you're working with can be the future. Because at some point, these types of games have to convert to wins, especially at home.
Major issues on the offensive line. You were just kind of speculating like, hey, what's the deal with Saquon Barkley? Why is he not being effective? And is it throwing him the ball that is the right answer to get him involved? No, it isn't. It's the offensive line that's really the issue here for the Giants, in my opinion. All right, we're 10 minutes in here. Let's get to what the Bills did, because they had maybe the most impressive performance of the day here. And I'm set up so I can still see the TV. I can still watch Red Zone in terms of what's going on here, and we'll react to maybe some of the crazier things that happened in the 1 o'clock games of the NFL season. But the Bills blow out the football team, Bags. You and I did not see this coming because we both thought that Washington would cover the 10.5 that was the spread set by Vegas. And my goodness, 43-21 Buffalo. Josh Allen has a heck of a day. And I took the Dolphins to cover last week. I have severely underestimated what Buffalo's offense can and apparently will do on a weekly basis here. Man, the Bills are 2-1, and they looked really good beating up this Washington defense, which to this point through 3 weeks, not just against Buffalo, has severely underperformed.
I agree, but I think this is more about Buffalo than it is Washington. And okay. I think that first game, I don't know if it's the absence of that additional preseason game. I don't think it is. Sometimes we just see teams not really bust out of the gate week one like we'd expect. A week one loss against the Steelers could not seem farther away right now. Am I right with this Buffalo team?
Yeah.
I mean, they are the team now performing like we expected them to perform, performing like a team that you could see easily playing in the AFC Championship game and competing for a spot in the Super Bowl. So This should surprise nobody. I think week one maybe set some people back a little bit and thought, well, maybe we're overreacting on what we saw out of 1 year out of Buffalo. No, this is not a 1 year thing with them. This is just a really good football team. They're obviously going to win the division and be set up very nicely if they stay healthy to do the damage that we expect them to be able to do in the playoffs. And I think that they are the biggest threat to the Chiefs in the AFC.
Okay, I like that you said that, because people listening and watching now will say, hey, the Chiefs are 1-2. Yeah. Why are we talking about the biggest threat to the Chiefs?
Because it's the Chiefs. Because it's Patrick Mahomes. It's that offense. They're a team you don't really get concerned about just yet. You give them a little bit more slack. I'm not going to sit here and overreact to the Kansas City Chiefs. That would be a mistake.
But the Chargers are a good team.
They are.
Vegas has started the year 2-0.
They lost to a good team, right? That's the thing. Like,
no. My point, Bags, is that the Chargers are a good team. They're 2-1. They just beat the Chiefs. My point is Vegas started the year 2-0. These are teams in Kansas City's division. I'm not just talking about, hey, who has the ability in the AFC and the conference to knock off Kansas City. I'm talking about who has the ability to maybe knock Kansas City not out of the postseason, but to 6th or 7th in the conference.
Yeah, my point is they have a tougher schedule, as you just pointed out, in the division, so they're going to have some of these regular season losses. They're going to go through more of the mud and muck in the regular season, which come playoff time will only have them more battle ready, and that's when this team is really going to shine the most. So I still have them at the top of the AFC, despite the early 1-2 start and Buffalo being number 2 behind them. But certainly, you're right. They've got way more of a battle to try to get to the postseason than a team like Buffalo will. I mean, you look at Buffalo's division, much different story. And if you get these two teams now head-to-head in the postseason, and the game's in Buffalo because they finished with a better record and they had maybe the ability to rest guys more toward the end of the season or whatever, where Kansas City had to fight to get in, now you can really look at the impact of the overall season heading into a particular playoff matchup. But for now, man, I still got Kansas City on top.
Your number one AFC contender.
Correct. To get to the Super Bowl right now, if I had to go to Vegas or go to Rivers Casino and put all my money on it, to get to the Super Bowl out of the AFC, my life depended on it, I have to still ride with the Chiefs.
Okay. I think my preseason prediction was Rams over the Browns in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Browns, another convincing win today.
Yeah, I mean, look, Chicago with Justin Fields, he struggled. He was sacked 9 times, completed only 6 of 20 passes, and Cleveland ends up beating Chicago. What else stood out to you? The Ravens win on a field goal as time expires. Justin Tucker.
Yeah.
The Titans beat the Colts. Saints go to New England, win a football game very convincingly. Mac Jones, multiple turnovers there as a rookie QB. The Bengals win at Pittsburgh. The Cardinals win kind of a wild one at Jacksonville.
Yeah, that one was a little bit surprising to me. The game that stood out, what was the one that you just mentioned before that one? And then we've got good 4 o'clock ones underway, obviously. But, the Saints. The Saints are a team that I told you early in the season here, I told you in the preseason, this is still a good football team. I know they lost their best player in Drew Brees to retirement, but this is still a really good football team. And if Winston comes in and just doesn't turn it over, doesn't make a mess of it, they're going to still be really competitive. They're not going to beat Tampa Bay in the division, but I still have them as a playoff team. I had them as a playoff team in the preseason, and now after what we've seen from them out of the early going so far, I'm feeling a lot better about that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, I was watching that Ravens-Lions game, and I thought, my goodness, if Baltimore back-to-back weeks pulls off a crazy win on Sunday night against the Chiefs and then goes to Detroit and somehow loses the game, I won't know what to think about the NFL season. Yeah, the 4 o'clock games, I'm interested. Miami up to a 2-score lead right now over Las Vegas. Seattle's up a touchdown on Minnesota, who right now is looking to go in as we're doing this live here, and people watch it back. We won't play-by-play the thing here on the 4 o'clock games. Minnesota just scored, by the way. Everyone's going to think about, right, Tampa and LA. You and I have looked at that game extensively. I'm on the Rams, you're on the Bucks, and so is our viewer Sam Calvelli, who likes the Bucks to cover this game. So that Washington-Buffalo game was a big one in our Pick Six Vodka Pick'em, but I got a shot here with the Rams and the Niners to separate myself a little bit.
That's it. So I'm out. Sam and I picked the exact same games except for the Buffalo-Washington, so he beat me. So he's going to finish one game ahead of me no matter how everything else plays out. Our only chance to stay unbeaten in the Pick Six Vodka selections here is for you to take down Week 3. And for that to happen, like you said, we need the Rams and the Niners to both take care of business tonight. So it's a pick'em. It was a pick'em when we took the game. So we just need the Rams to get a win in that one. And look, we'll see about tonight. I know you're obviously going to be rooting against your pick there with your Green Bay Packers in that game, but I don't know, man. We need this one for the vodka. So I might be on the Niners tonight.
And that's the problem is because I missed on Washington, Buffalo.
Yeah.
I need the Rams and the Niners in terms of just overall Pick Six Vodka.
If the Bucks go out and win, like Sam and I both predicted, this will make it easy for you because it'll already be decided. Then you can just root for your Packers, and Sam's got the win with the vodka anyway.
Good point. Sean's going Bills, Rams. So he's a big Bills fan. Bills, Rams, Super Bowl.
Sure. Why not? It's not a bad pick. Still got a good point. I think the Rams are – we talked about this on our show this week. Still a little bit below Green Bay for me in terms of being that biggest threat to Tampa Bay.
Okay.
NFC Championship game, that type of situation. But if they go out and win today, and Green Bay does not look good against the Niners, that's going to completely change for me.
Rank your AFC teams for me here, because I think it's interesting that even at 1 and 2, you're still staunchly on Kansas City. Yeah. Is it Cleveland or Buffalo second for you?
Buffalo second, and then
maybe not Cleveland.
Maybe not Cleveland. I'm not high on the Browns because they're the Browns, and it's like
no. You're not high on the Browns because they burned you before.
They have burned me because they're the Browns, because that's what happened. So just like I learned my lesson, you don't pick against New England / Brady. Now I just don't pick against Brady. I don't pick really for Cleveland until I got to see more out of them. I got to see them do it in a big spot, in a big playoff game. I got to see Baker Mayfield lead this team and shock me against a Buffalo or a Kansas City in the playoffs before I get really high on Buffalo. So I don't know. Maybe I got to look. I'm still high on the Ravens.
Okay.
Man, I like them. What, maybe not to finish with like the pecking order, I'm not looking at it like depth chart or maybe record wise how they're going to stack up. I'm talking about being able to compete for the Super Bowl. So I still like them third right now in the AFC before I would get to, another team out of the West like the Chargers or the Browns or whatever it is.
All right, this is our rapid reaction presented by Professional Fire Restoration, Onorato and Bagnardi on the News Channel 13 Facebook and Twitter pages. Adam wants us to talk about the heartache in the Motor City. Go Cowboys. So Cowboys Monday night game, yeah, no doubt. The heartbreak or heartache in Motor City is, you just said you really are still high on Baltimore, and despite all the injuries, Ravens are still finding a way to get it done, and they end up beating Detroit on a field goal at the gun. If you're watching us live, you can go back after the fact, and we've kind of run down through most of the 1 o'clock games here. Here's our guest picker of the week, and Sam's feeling good. Pleasant afternoon, man. Yeah, Sam's got us. He is our guest picker here in the Pick Six Vodka Pick'em. If you're watching us, you can take part of going head-to-head with me and Sean each and every week. All you have to do is look out for those alerts on the News Channel 13 Facebook and Twitter pages to become one of our guest pickers. Sam is our Week 3 guy, and he took the Bills. Sean and I took Washington, and obviously that has set Sam up for a really good spot here as we've kind of gone step for step the rest of the way. Bags and I have talked about the fact that Onorato needs the Rams and San Francisco to make sure we aren't giving away a lot of Pick Six Vodka swag at the end of it all.
Yeah, Sam now talking trash here, saying already beat Bags and Chris is next.
Yeah.
Well, he did. Right. He beat me, to be fair. He says that with, a lot of gusto, but Sam and I were really on the same page, picking 5 out of the 6 games the exact same way. So that put me in a tough spot to even be able to compete with Sam. But Sam's right. He's got me, and you could very well be next. And this could be our first winner in the Pick Six Vodka. So Sam's flag could be on the way very soon.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. All right, I'm watching the red zone as we go through this here. We're still scoreless between Tampa Bay and LA. That's the one I got my eyes on now until we get to the Sunday night game between the Niners and the Packers. It's 4:46. If you're watching this live, that means I am due for a nap.
Yeah, you're already in morning show mode. You're throwing out the time, like 5:27 here, and the traffic looks good on the Northway. Like, no, nobody cares what time it is, and nobody wants to watch you watch Red Zone. They want to go watch football. So you take your nap because you got a big day. Congrats again on the morning show, and hey. Best of luck, man. You guys are going to kill it. So good luck with that. And I need you rested, though.
Yeah, I'm going to need some sleep. My plan is a little bit of a nap now.
Yeah.
Watch the Packers game in its entirety unless it really goes sideways, which I think it could. And then wake up and do the morning show. All right, so you've been watching Onorato and Bagnardi's rapid reaction here presented by Professional Fire Restoration. Our boy DJ helping us out with this segment. We so appreciate that, and we appreciate you all watching us. We're going to do this consistently. It's going to happen at least once a week, but if there's breaking news, if there's something big happening in the world of sports, and obviously if it's just an NFL Sunday, you can find us here on the News Channel 13 Facebook and Twitter pages with Onorato and Bagnardi's rapid reaction presented by Professional Fire Restoration. Bags, good luck to your Jets, man, unless you're in sync mode already.
We'll see what happens. I understand it's a rough start, so we'll see what happens.
All right, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be back with you here. We're again live every Thursday at 10 a.m., but also keep an eye out for the rapid reaction. You've been watching Onorato and Bagnardi.